A group of fishermen were trying to make it through a storm in the Indian Ocean at Christmas 2004. Kim Hee, a geologist in the Hyundai district, tells his boss that a tsunami is coming and tells the people to take shelter. A rescue helicopter comes to their rescue and rescues the fishermen, but the captain of the boat is caught in a fishing net and tells his shipmates to leave him behind, otherwise the tsunami will take them all away. Before he dies, the man asks Man Sik to take care of his daughter, and Man Sik promises that he will do so. It's several days later, and the news comes in that thousands of people were killed in Southeast Asia by the tsunami and the area is totally devastated. 5 years later, in the summer of 2009, Man Sik is true to his captain's promise and is caring for his daughter since his death. Man Sik is always there to defend her, but her mom doesn't get along with E and he very well. He is willing to give everything to the young girl, but he prefers to work to make her own living and not depend on anyone. Ayak Joe is Man Sik's uncle, but everyone in the place hates him, including his nephew. The old man is a businessman and the owner of several businesses in Hyundai. He ordered the fishermen to go out to sea even after he got the evacuation notice, and thus caused many deaths in the 2004 disaster. In an interview about a possible new tsunami, Kim Hee meets with his ex-wife. At the end of the meeting, the woman tells him that she is spending a few days in the city with her daughter and her boyfriend. Kim Hee and Eugene are Ji Min's parents, but the woman has never wanted anyone to know her true father, so the weatherman can't even come close to her, although he wants to be in her life. He is on the beach with her friends when three guys appear and invite them to go on their yacht. The girl doesn't feel very comfortable accompanying them but decides to go because of pressure from her two friends who are with her. While the group is having fun, the young woman is smoking a cigarette sitting on the side of the yacht and ends up falling into the water. Hearing the young woman's cry for help, Hyung Sik jumps into the ocean and drags her to his boat. That afternoon, Man Sik and his friends are eating at E and He's restaurant when his mother shows up and orders the young woman to return the dishes she borrowed. In an attempt to calm her down, Man Sik asks his friends to go to his mother's restaurant and gives E and He a nice tip as an apology for the inconvenience. Dong Chun is a middle-aged man who has never worked in his life. Unlike Man Sik, he lives with his mother and always goes to E and He's restaurant without paying the bill. In an attempt to recover her money, the young woman takes the deadbeat to help her fish. She is invited to go to a baseball game by Man Sik before she leaves with the boat and she accepts the invitation. The man is a single father, and he takes his son, San Ryan, to watch his favorite team play. Meanwhile, he and Hyung Sik are in a restaurant talking about what happened that morning. Since being saved by the man, he began to develop an interest in him and decided she wanted to get to know him better. When she arrives home that night, E and he spots some boxes. Opening them, the young woman discovers that this is a gift from Man Sik, who has given her several dishes and kitchen utensils so that she doesn't have to borrow anything else. It has been a few days and Hyung Sik has a new job. He is now responsible for the care of children who get lost on the beach. Ji Min tells her that she got lost during the walk and in tears asks the man to call her mother. Upon receiving the news about her daughter, Eugene calls Kim Hee and asks him to go find the girl as she is busy at work. The woman then goes to retrieve her and fights with the girl for her getting lost from Raichin on the beach. Minutes later, Kim Hee tries to stop Eugene from beating the girl and chides his ex-wife for leaving Ji Min with a guy she barely knows. Furious, Eugene tells the man to mind his own business and he leaves, claiming he wasn't there to protect her. It's only one day away from 5 years since E and He's father died, and she still misses him terribly. The young woman had just entered high school and says that even at that time, her heart raced every time she saw Man Sik. Despite feeling the same way about her, the man refuses to ask her to marry him as he believes this is a way of betraying his captain, who entrusted the care of his daughter to him since she has no family members still living. The next day, E and he asked Man Sik to come to the cemetery with her to place flowers on her father's grave. Man Sik dreams of the tsunami that night and recalls that the accident that killed the captain was his fault. That day, if he had obeyed his orders, everyone would have escaped alive. On awakening, the man discovers that a storm is raging outside, and Sam Ryan says that he is afraid of the thunder. Man Sik takes his son on his lap and tries to comfort him. On his way home from the restaurant, he flirts with Hyung Sik's watch and the man tells him that he uses the watch to rescue people in the ocean. Although they have only been on a few dates, the girl is already in love with him and takes a moment of distraction to kiss him. Little did he know that her friends and the guys she had met on the beach were around and noticed her with the lifeguard. Everything seems perfectly normal in Hyundai, but what few people know is that earthquakes are happening all the time in the ocean, causing even the crabs to leave the beach. His staff warns Kim Hee that there may be a larger tsunami than the one that occurred in 2004, and Kim Hee goes to warn his superior. At that time, There are over 1 million people in Hyundai, and if the city is not evacuated, all of them will be in danger. The next morning, as arranged, Man-sik goes to her father's grave with Yun-hee. The young woman says that Man-sik has taken such good care of her these past years, and now she would like to return the favor. Yun-hee is disheartened that he hasn't yet proposed to her and is sorry that he couldn't win the love of the man she has fallen for. The young woman talks to her father, and then she walks away, while Man-sik kneels before the tomb. He asks for forgiveness for what happened and states that even after so many years, he still feels guilty for the death of his captain. He knows that he is from a rich family, and that he is going to a university in Seoul, but he still lets himself fall in love with the girl and arranges to meet her at a restaurant during his lunch break. The man wants to give her his watch as a gift because he had complimented it earlier, but, along the way, he is caught off guard by Hyung-chul and her friends. The demented man claims that she is his fiancée and orders the man not to go near her again. Man-sik completes his preparations to propose a few hours later. He takes Yun-hee to a boat and waits for the fireworks show to propose. The young woman is very pleased with the request, but she does not take it right away. Instead, she asks Man-sik to come to her restaurant the next morning to find out her answer. She meanwhile pursues Hyung-sik and tells him that she has been waiting for him all day. She asks him why he didn't come to the restaurant, and he simply ignores her, telling her that he doesn't want to see her anymore. At dinner, Dong-chun's mother tells him that she has secured him a job interview, but he is a slacker and doesn't want to go. The man tells his mother that he doesn't have decent shoes to go to the interview, and his mother promises to buy him new shoes, but she knows Dong-chun isn't interested in working. After arguing with his mother, he goes to Yun-hee's restaurant and finds out that the girl has been proposed to. On hearing this, Dong-chun becomes jealous, as he has always loved the young woman. He tells her all that happened on the night of the tsunami in an attempt to convince her to say no to his request, but Yun-hee comes to understand that Man-sik was responsible for her father's death. When Man-sik goes to visit his bride-to-be the next day, Dong-chun shows up and says that he told Yun-hee the truth. At that moment, Man-sik, who is known to be a very patient guy, becomes furious and attacks his former coworker. Then the former fisherman runs around his van to try to get away from the blows, and both are surprised when a pigeon flies into the windshield of the vehicle and gets stuck there. They see thousands of birds flying to the continent at that time and know something is amiss. Kim-hee has by now convinced himself that a tsunami is coming and attempts to persuade his boss to evacuate Hyundai, but the man refuses to break up the cultural event that is going on in the city, and he is convinced that there is no threat. Hoping that her son will start working, Dong-chun's mother skips a picnic with her friends in a neighboring town to go to a store and buy a pair of shoes so that Dong-chun can take his job interview. The woman calls her son to ask him what size his shoe is, but he ignores her and says he is busy taking his van in for repair. Meanwhile, Man-sik's mother takes her grandson for a ride, not even imagining what is to come. Large landslides are triggered by earthquakes and leaders are compelled to make the evacuation call. As soon as he hears about the news, Eugene tries to talk to her daughter, but G-Man is asleep and won't answer the phone. Not knowing about Hyung-cho's lie, she agrees to take a ride with him in his speedboat. In the meantime, her friends are visiting an aquarium with the men they met on their trip. After waiting for Yi and the guy at her door for a couple of hours, Man-sik finally finds her and asks her to give him a chance to explain himself. But they are interrupted by an earthquake which strikes the whole district and makes the bathers despair. Due to the tremor, the underground aquarium where his friends are staying breaks down, and the place is overrun by water. As soon as Eugene enters the elevator of the hotel where her daughter is staying, the power is cut off, and she is trapped inside. Concerned for Jimin's safety, the woman calls her ex-husband and asks him to come and rescue her. A huge wave has just arisen in the sea and swallowed up an entire ship. Hyun-chul calls the lifeguards and requests their assistance as his speedboat is no longer moving. At once a helicopter is ready to fly to their rescue, and Hyun-sik is one of the members of the search team. On waking up, Jimin gazes out the window and is shocked to see a massive wave coming towards them. She is in her room alone, and Kim-hee runs to try to save her before it's too late. Hyun-hee realizes what's going on and pulls Man-sik, and the two run away from the beach. The beachgoers invade the town and run over each other in an attempt to survive the disaster that is about to happen. In the midst of the confusion, a little girl ends up falling in the sand, and her father comes back to get her. To protect his daughter, the man uses his body as a shield and ends up being trampled. He is now looking at a wave of destruction, and he takes the little girl in his arms and runs away. When the tsunami strikes, Dong-chun and Man-suk's mother are on the bridge. Hyundai, the man, quickly picks up San Ryan on his lap and pulls the old lady to safety. In just minutes, the water begins to fill the hotel that Eugene is staying in, and the elevator begins to flood. Kimmy runs to get to his daughter in time, and when he comes into the room, he discovers that the girl is already about to drown. The water current pushes Jimin out of the building, but her father manages to catch her in time. As the wave moves to the heart of the city, it picks up people and vehicles. To make the wave's impact less harsh, Man-suk pushes Yi and Hyun-hee behind a pillar. The rescue team arrives at the scene, just as Hyeon-chul and Jimin are about to drown. Eugene is still stuck in the elevator and is yelling for help, as she will soon drown if she doesn't get out of there. After losing his San Ryan and his grandmother, Dong-chun is walking across the bridge to look for them. All of a sudden, the support cables begin to loosen and the containers that are in the wreckage fall onto the bridge. All the people around Dong-chun are hit, but luckily he manages to get out unharmed. In the city, while Man-suk and Lee-hyun try not to drown, they spot the power box of a pole about to hit the water. If this happens, everyone will die electrocuted, so the couple tries to climb another pole in an attempt to stay above the water level. First, Man-suk helps the girl up and manages to save himself seconds before the electricity hits the water, eliminating everyone in contact with it. As Hyun-hee is being dragged out of the ocean, Hyeon-sik asks her if she is engaged to Hyeon-chul, and finds out that he has been misled, because Hyun-hee says that she only met him a few days ago. The elevator is almost flooded when Eugene receives a call from her ex-husband. The man tells her that he is on the roof of the building with Jimin and finds his wife is stuck in the elevator. Kim-hee then gives the phone to his daughter and runs to save Eugene, but is surrounded by the guards. The woman, in her last moments, decides to tell Jimin the truth and tells him that Kim-hee is her father. She waves goodbye to the girl and drowns, but one of the employees opens the elevator door and Eugene escapes. In order to ease his despair, Dong-chun decides to light a cigarette to calm down, but he is surprised by the fire and throws the lighter away. This small act leads to a big disaster as the fire comes in contact with the fuel that is spilling from the ship, resulting in a big explosion. As soon as he realizes what a big mistake he has made, Dong-chun runs away and manages to escape, but the wreckage of the boat ends up hitting some buildings around the beach. Man-suk manages to climb up a building and is assisting Lee-hyun to climb up when he gets hit by some debris and falls. The young woman attempts to hold him, but he knows that he will be carried away by the current. The man makes his final will and testament, stating that he really loves Lee-hyun and would like to have married her. When he is suddenly saved by his long-hated uncle, Man-suk is already being taken away. He pulls him back up and helps his nephew hold onto the pole. Before Man-suk can thank him, however, Yak-chul is hit by a metal box and gets loose, being dragged along with the debris. When he meets Himi safely in the helicopter, Hyung-sik climbs up with the second victim. The cable begins to snap due to the weight. Knowing that only one of the two can be saved, the man decides to let Hyeon-chul go up and asks him to hand over his watch to Himi. The young woman realizes what she is about to do and starts to cry out to Hyung-sik to save himself, but the lifeguard decides to die doing his duty. When he falls into the water, he says goodbye to Himi with a smile on his face and is carried away by the waves. When they get off the elevator, Eugene runs to the terrace and manages to give her daughter one last hug. A larger wave is coming to shore and Kim-hee attempts to save the girl by handing her over to a woman in a metal basket who will be carried away by a rescue helicopter. The woman says she will take good care of the girl, and for the first and last time, Jimin sees her parents together. After saying goodbye to their daughter, the former couple embraces while waiting for death to come. Shortly after the disaster, the government mobilizes dozens of rescue helicopters to rescue the survivors. A few days later, a memorial is organized for all those who sacrificed their lives to save the victims of the tsunami. One of them is Hyung-sik, and Himi can't stop crying as she watches the man. Some locals come together to clean the beach, while Jimin tells San Ryan that she was saved by her father, and that her father and mother eventually died. Now she's in the care of the lady who took her that day. After being unemployed for so many years, Dong-chun finally gets a job, but his mother is no longer around to celebrate this achievement. He is on the shores of the ocean and he regrets all the things he put her through while she was alive. He chooses to overlook Man-suk and takes up his marriage proposal, despite all the differences. The young woman gets the blessing of her fiancé's mother, who willingly accepts her into the family. Post the tsunami, the people of Hyundai and all those who were in the district during the disaster understand that life is too short to have disagreements and people should be loved while alive. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.